Ali, this is Yeşim speaking. I know we are at the top of the hour, but we are missing one of our presenters. So would you like to wait a bit more, 1 or 2 minutes maybe?
Yes,
So
let's just have
we
1 minute more.
Okay.
Whom we are missing?
Edwin.
Edwin.
Edwin Sundays.
Just
Yes.
yeah, give him a minute and then we'll start.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ali, it's 2 minutes passing the scheduled start time. I'm not seeing Edwin yet, but he may join us slightly late. I'm not sure. We will try to reach out to him. But meanwhile, in order to get going, would you like us to get started?
Yes, please. Go ahead, Yashin.
Okay, let me start the recording.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Welcome to the APRALO ICANN81 Readout session taking place on Thursday, 28th of November 2024 at 600 UTC. We will not be doing a roll call for the sake of time, but all attendees will be recorded after the call. I would like to remind all participants to please keep their lines muted when not speaking to prevent any background noises. And also, please make sure to state your name when taking the floor. With that, I would like to thank you all for joining, and now would like to leave the floor over to Ali Almeshal, Vice Chair of APRALO. Over to you, Ali. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yashin, and thank you all for attending this call. Based on your region and time zone, it is either morning, evening, or the afternoon. To me, it's in the morning right now, starting my day, and I hope all of you have started your coffee, getting fresh to that. Yes, my name is Ali Al-Mishal. I'm the Vice Chair of APRALO, and I've been with the APRALO for a quite good time. I have been served on NUMCOM and been in multiple working groups presenting the APRALO for a number of different tasks and works. Professionally, I am a CEO right now. This is just currently happening of a new fintech company looking into the payment and biometrics and different type of technology. I served in finance and banking for a long years. So this is just a brief about myself, and I will ask all the participants, the panelists, sorry, when getting the mic to speak, just to give a brief about themselves and then go to the raised or set questions. Before going to that, I would love to give very brief statistics or information. Maybe you have seen it, maybe not, about the last meeting, which is the ICANN81, which was in Istanbul. And this was, as Per stated, the highest number of attendees since 2019, which is 1,982 people in person attended the meeting in Istanbul, which is a quite good number, while 722 participated virtually. And there were a number of hot topics and high priority topics, which is the related to next round, 5 years, top level names, and 5 year strategic and top level names programs, which was the key topics that was discussed within the meeting in Istanbul. And the participated number of countries within the meeting was around 141 countries participated in the meeting, representing from Africa 578, which is 29.2%, while from our region, it was 698, which represents 35.2%, while in Europe, around 578, which is 29, and Latin America, 106, which is 5.3, and North America, 450, which is 22.7, and around 180 sessions were discussed in this meeting. Well, it shows all. Yes, it is in our region, the meeting in APRALO region, Asia Pacific region, and the attendees shows a good percentage and dedication to that. As you can see, we have been the highest percentage representing into this meeting. So without further ado, I would like to start with the panelists that we are having today, and I will go through the same as being listed into the brochure or the announcement at this time, and then we'll select them based on the questions. So I'm starting now with Yassine, if she don't mind, and we'll go with the first questions to her, which is, what are one or two takeaways from ICANN81 from your perspectives? So Jasmine, if you just give a very short brief about yourself, and then we'll go to the question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ali. Hello, everyone. This is Jasmine. I'm based in Hong Kong. So a little bit background of myself. So actually working in Asia now. I actually graduated from the Net Missions Academy. So that's how I get involved into the internet governance sector. And okay, and I also a convener in Hong Kong YIGF, the Youth Internet Governance Forums, and take away from ICANN81. So actually two aspects, if you don't mind. So the first one is to reconnect with the community. So we connect with people that I already knew. So actually in the in-person meeting, and especially those that we need to discuss some critical issues, I think it's a very great chance that we strengthen our bonding, and also at the same time to reach out to people that I may have heard of or met online, and then we finally meet in person. That's another way that I think as a main takeaway of synergy and relationship building. So the second thing is about more about the contents and knowledge exchange, so that I have from the meeting I have prompt updates and interactions on some concerned topics. So you know, like in a more broader scales, the aspects I do have another interest when it comes to panels about geopolitics, and also I do have my own intervention too during the public forum to raise about my concern on sustainability, which is not the most popular topic, but definitely one of the most critical things that we need to concern as well within the community. And also for the about knowledge exchange aspects, the technical issues that most of us have been talking about on GDLT, LDP, and BCN, you know, like the blockchain names, blockchain name systems, and etc. Also something that raised my interest. I do definitely write something, and we do have some, you know, like for my personal next step, but this is something that will be the next question. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jasmine. And I would appreciate if the panelists speak a bit slower so we can. No worry. I forget to mention that we are having today five panelists, and all of them are available now. And Edwin has just joined, and I would love to hear from Edwin on the same question. So, Edwin, the floors are yours. What are the two takeaways that you take from your own personal perspective?
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. I know there's a little bit of background noise. My name is Edwin Sandys, and a lot of my profile details are already on the page, but predominantly I'm the ccTLD manager for the .fj, apart from my other role as an infrastructure person. One of the key things that I'm trying to advocate, especially around the attendance to ICANN, my takeaways from ICANN is basically trying to build more awareness into what ICANN is all about, and exactly what the Oceania region and the Pacific region can do to sort of elevate its attendance, participation / involvement, but more importantly, the understanding into the workings of ICANN. Not a lot of people know about this, and one of the challenges that we face at the moment is the fact that many fellows have come through the Pacific and have come and gone, but the knowledge essentially stays with them. So how do we ensure that the next generation of people are able to share their experiences? So at the moment, one of the key projects that I'm sort of working on, and it may be alluring to the next question that was up there, is I'm just trying to see how to sort of stimulate more participation, I guess. And that's the key thing that I'd like to take away, and try and get more of our Oceania region involved. I'll probably stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin, and we'd love to hear more on the next round of the question about things that you will be doing and how you will get more involvement of the end user from Oceania. Thank you. Moving forward, we'll give the floor to Manju. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ali. So this is Manju. I'm from Taiwan. I'm now representing the NCSG, the non-commercial stakeholder group on the GNSO, generic name supporting organization council. So I'm representing NCSG on the GNSO council. So since I'm here more as a representative from the GNSO side, my two takeaways, one of them will be more focusing on the policy side. So I like to happily share the news that the applicant support program has opened for applications. And this is something I believe ALAC and the GNSO has held very dear in their hearts, because in the 2012 round, the applicant support program was not as successful as we expected. And ALAC has been putting a lot of effort to discuss and research and analyze of how we can improve applicant support program this round, the next round. That will be open until next year in November. So definitely this is something we as the APAC region will have to help promote the message, because I believe APAC will undoubtedly come in strong in the next round, and we definitely need to work together to help raise the awareness of applicant support. Another thing I think is vitally important for the APAC region is within the GNSO Council, we adopted the final report of the internationalized domain name expected policy development process final report. So in short, it's IDN EPDP final report. We have adopted the report of the council, and we'll send it to the board, expecting the board to adopt this early next year. This is very important because I think international domain names, which means that you can use your own languages and GTLDs and TLDs, it's important for us, especially in the APAC, because we speak so many different languages. And we're expecting, of course, a lot of IDN applications in the next round. So that was the policy side. And another key takeaways I like to share, if you have attended the public forum this year in Istanbul, you might have noticed I made a comment during the public forum. And I just wanted to reinforce that observing activities in the APAC region in recent years, including the Asia Pacific Internet Governance Academy, which short term as APIGA, APAC DNS Forum, APAC GAC capacity building. We have a lot of interest in the APAC. We have a lot of appetite in the region for deeper and wider participation. But however, like time zone has been this, huge problem that has been impacting our participation in ICANN, and people tend to forget this if we don't constantly remind them. I think we definitely need to constantly remind the whole ICANN community how APAC is eager to participate, but we are facing difficulties due to time zone issues. For example, this time we're having this meeting in supposedly APAC region, and we're not even on the Asia side of this symbol this time. It took us, I think most of us will have to fly at least 9 hours to Istanbul. I won't say that's like a very good APAC representation in terms of meeting venue choices. But yeah, that will be my 2 takeaways, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Manju. And just to comment on the application support, this has been given a good time in discussions within the ALAC and at large as well, and what ICANN can do and what we are proposing to get from ICANN, how can that help us as well. So thank you very much for bringing this point as well. Moving forward, we have Ingram. Ingram, please, floors are yours.
Hi, everyone. Let's get my screen going. Hi, everyone. My name is Ingram Niblock. I'm one of the alternative GAC representatives from Australia. There's a few of us. Yeah, it's great to be talking to you today. I'm from our Department of Infrastructure, who has carriage for all the internet governance issues in the Australian government. So I think that for us, the 2 kind of key takeaways are just being really pleased to see the amount of discussion about WSIS at the Istanbul meeting, and also just to see the sort of technical community kind of coordinating together. There's obviously the sort of CCTLD, country code top level domain, Internet Governance Liaison Committee, as well as this technical community coalition for multi-stakeholderism. It was great to see sort of those kind of groupings happening and meeting at ICANN. And there were also more informal meetings as well. The GAC certainly spoke about it in a lot of their bilateral meetings. It came up with the ccNSO, the board, and obviously with the ALAC as well as in the Asia Pacific GAC meeting. So it sort of was raised among the Asia Pacific governments who were there at that meeting. Sort of information sharing about like WSIS and the sort of broader internet governance forums and issues is, also one of the strategic objectives of the GAC. You can see those attached to the Kigali communique from the last ICANN. And so, yeah, sort of information sharing and sort of thinking about how we can work together is really key for the GAC for this very important topic. And look, there's still obviously a lot of unknowns about WSIS, but for us, it's a really important opportunity to set a pretty ambitious blueprint for the future. So that was the first takeaway. But the second one I think is relates to the next round, and echoing a bit what Manju said as well. We were really pleased to see the sort of application support program sort of open and start. Increasing sort of representation from sort of the underserved regions and communities is obviously a key goal for the GAC. We've been sort of harping on about that for some time in advice and issues of importance in our communiques. So we're looking forward to kind of continuing to work with the board and the org to make sure that the sort of engagement is hitting the mark. And I'm sure most people here know that there'll be sort of some statistics will be reported back about where the applications are coming from. And also after 20 applications, there'll be a bit of a pause to just assess how the engagement's going and if there needs to be more or, if it's effective. So we're kind of keeping a watching brief on that as well. And also a little win for the GAC was also just getting more of the application support program material translated into the 6 UN languages. It was originally, some of the material was just going to be in English, and we sort of, it came up in the GAC meeting, and the organisation decided to adopt that and translate them into more languages. So again, that's a really great outcome, and will hopefully mean that more people sign up and make use of this program. And just quickly echoing Manju about the time zone issue. Fight the good fight. That is a very key issue for us in the Asia Pacific region, and just getting more people coming along. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much, Ingram. And definitely the cooperation between all to support the new round, as well as the application support and translating it to different languages will support as well people, and encourage them to apply from different countries. Definitely. Thank you so much. Moving with Yuri from Japan, I would like to give you the floor, please.
Thank you. So I'm Yuri Takamatsu, and I work for the ccTLD country code top-level domain name, working for the .jp, which represents the Japan. So today I'm joining here as one of the member of the ccNSO, and one takeaway I want to share here is about the how to engage and the WSIS +20 or those kind of internet governance related issue. So for those who, I think many of you already know, but the ccNSO is different from the GNSO, and we don't make a binding policy like CTLDs, but ccTLDs are doing in their each country or territory situation. So in that sense, in our, how can I say, ccNSO members meeting, we don't have much time to discuss about the GNSO issues, but rather we have a lot of information sharing about each country or territory situation, or like technical issues or new marketing thing or those kind of that. And as one of the things, there was a discussion about the WSIS +20 process, as already Ingram a little bit introduced us. And at the session, yes, there was a session in the whole meeting itself, but especially for the ccNSO, we ccTLDs are having our really daily jobs, but still there's a lot of discussion in the global arena. So we were discussing about and sharing about how we engage with those issues. So yes, I think I can introduce more about that later question. So how to engage, at least we all understand that taking action, whether it is small or big, is not the matter, but doing something is really important. That was one takeaway I had from ICANN81. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Henry. And with such rich takeaways and information and feedbacks we have heard from the panelists, I would love to hear from the other participant if any feedback, comment, questions to our panelists before we move to our next set of questions. So the floors are open. If you want to raise your hand, have any questions from our audience here. Comments, questions? So it looks like your feedback and comments so clear, and we have no more coming here now. So we'll move to our next agenda item in the questions and rounds. So we'll go with the second question here, which is what do you see as the next steps to those takeaways? Or how would you progress them before ICANN 82? So number of things that you have comment or you have take away from ICANN 81, and now we are moving to ICANN 82. So how would you build up and move this to there? So now, if you would allow me, I will start in different order. Maybe I'll start with Edwin, if you don't mind, to go with this question. Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's all right. That's all right. One of the key things that I brought back, and as I mentioned, I'm trying to sort of elevate the awareness in our region. So step one that I've actually taken is I finally got the listing of every member that should be part of, ccNSO as a starting point, because that's obviously my background. But at the same time, too, trying to encourage their membership into the space and also into APRALO. But understanding that a lot of these members, and I think that's something that I believe members of ICANN may not really understand. Internet services may be available at their workspaces, which basically means if it's their normal 8 to 5 day, and if the meetings were during those times, they can access internet during those times. After hours, when they have to go back to their individual homes, internet's not available. And it's perhaps a little bit more expensive for most. Now, that dynamic is changing, obviously, with Starlink coming into the picture and, the ISP starting to sign up their necessary contracts. But one important thing is, as these meetings are in different time zones, and it can be rather difficult sometimes for many, one of the things that I'm hoping to do is, as one of us attends this meeting, it doesn't matter who, it could be me, it could be one of my other members within the Australasian region. We've already started a chat page, and eventually we're hoping to revive a few of our ICANN-centric information sites where we can start posting up information just for the general public to understand and trying to encourage more participation. So I guess that's the key thing that I need to do. Whether it's an alignment towards ICANN 82, for me, it's just in alignment to anything ICANN into the future. And what I've come to understand after also working with ICANN and obtaining the list of members that have also attended as fellows in the past, we've got a long history of previous fellows, and I was so happy to see that. But I understand that the challenge for the fellows was there wasn't an outlet specifically for them to put up to say, hey, everyone in the Oceania region, come and have a look at this, and this is where we can share and organize a small pocket of meeting where we can help promote more awareness, especially if participation in this space is required for the future. So I'm thinking more along those lines. I'm thinking more along, okay, what happens when I step out of this space? Someone else has to step in. So advocacy is one of the key things that, for me personally, is where I see the next steps taking place. Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin. Yes, totally agree, and I think it's a good approach to do. And the time zone challenge is always there. Time zone challenge with the APAC region is something cannot be solved because it is as it is. But definitely, the approach you are doing will help a lot. Thank you so much, Edwin. If I go to Manju, please, on the second questions on what do you see as the next step to those takeaways, and how would you progress them before ICANN 82?
Thank you, Ali. So for the policy side, for example, the applicant support program, SB, I know that, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, but I think it's the APRALO. They have an outreach plan already in place, and you guys are, all hands on deck on, trying to work with ICANN to promote ASP in the APAC region. So I guess at this point, I'll take my GNSO head off and put my NCSG head on. And just to say that in NCSG, we care very much about applicant support too. And in NCSG, we always stand ready to help, to support, and to collaborate with the APRALO to work on promoting and engaging with the local communities about applicant support program and just help with any questions and difficulties anyone could have. So that was the policy side. And like I said, the IDN internationalized domain names are now in the board's hand. At this point, there's nothing we can really do, but once the ICANN board started to deliberate on the final report, they always open a public comment that's following the ICANN standard procedure of policy development process. At that time, if you have the capacity, I will definitely encourage everyone to submit your public comments in support of the final report, because, like I said, international domain names are of vital importance of the APAC region when we speak so many different languages. And we will come in strong in the next round. And we definitely need to have IDNs in the internet to, promote and ensure the global internet is inclusive and diverse. And time zone wise, several of us are planning to write a letter. We're drafting a letter, and we are hoping to send that letter to the new CEO, Curtis, when he's our CEO by December. I'm not sure yet when we will finish the letter, but just heads up to all of you, we will be collecting signatures for the letter. The more, the better. If we can send a strong voice to the ICANN org and community that we care and we should be cared to by the global community, I think that will be a good, example of how APAC should be valued more and how we are able to stand up for our own, benefits. You said time zone cannot be fixed. I think it can. We just, everybody needs to suffer a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you, Manju, and wish you all the best for all the tries that you are trying to do. We know, like, especially in ALAC, there is a rotation in multiple type of working groups, a rotation between the time zones, as just to be fair to everyone. Unfortunately, that's how is it? Anyway, moving to Yuri for the second questions. Yuri, on what do you see as the next steps to those takeaways, and how would you progress them before ICANN82?
Okay. Thank you. So as I felt, taking action, or at least paying attention for the WSIS plus 20 process is really important. I think this discussion will continue at ICANN 82 and 83. So I think gathering information or having more knowledge is really important as a first step to be involved. So just for one example, I saw many people from ICANN here, but WSIS plus 20 outreach network is really good, how can I say, community, and also I'm following the mailing list, but it really has a lot of information about the webinar or process. So just joining to those information good place can be the early first step for everyone. So that's one thing I'd like to introduce here. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuri. Good to hear that. And if I move to Ingram on the second question, you don't mind.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Ali. So on the two takeaways I mentioned, sort of similar to Yuri on WSIS, information gathering is incredibly important, but it's also a great opportunity to start considering sort of what our positive messages are and start connecting with our sort of peers and, kind of organizations. We don't know what the process looks like yet for it. That's still being debated in the UN. But we want to make sure we've got sort of a positive agenda that really sort of perpetuates the internet, as the, remarkable success story that it's been. So I think really thinking about the messaging, and also thinking about how to align kind of WSIS with other other efforts. So, for example, the the Global Digital Compact and the Sustainable Development Goals. Sort of, yeah, how can we align sort of the WSIS action lines and some of the text with sort of that that existing language and and outcomes that have sought through those other efforts. In Australia's case, sort of before, ICANN82, we've actually started our sort of multi-stakeholder preparatory process. So we're sort of linking up with, people in the Australian internet community who are, engaged and interested in this. And it's, it's a two-way sort of information exchange. We're trying to keep them up to date, with what's happening, and we're always keen to hear from them about like new ideas, basically, because, a lot of these concepts have been around for, WSIS is 20 years old. So, we don't want to sort of rehash all the same things from 20 years ago, especially when things have changed. In terms of the next round, I guess this is a bit more domestic for us, but for the application support program, we're actually, we're really keen to make sure that it reaches its intended audiences. So in an Australian context, we're actually reaching out to our sort of First Nations communities, our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, to see if this is something that they might be interested in. Obviously, they sort of broadly meet the criteria for it. So yeah, we're sort of seeing if this is something that they're interested in, and it's fine if they're not. But we just want to make sure that they're aware of that this is an opportunity that they could have. And as the wider GAC, I think it's fairly safe to say that we're going to continue to sort of advocate for, the sort of public interest issues in the next round. The work we did with the ALAC on sort of contention sets, for example, it was a really great example of sort of that kind of cross-community collaboration. I mean, obviously the board didn't accept those recommendations sort of in full, but nevertheless, the sort of coming together, to come up with, like, again, good ideas that help progress the sort of public interest issues in the next round was really valuable. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ingram. I totally agree, like preparing the community as a prep for any ICANN meeting or any activity, especially that we are having, and making the awareness about those topics like the application support or the next round, or even the coming ICANN82. So doing that prep is something good that people are aware of and a way ahead, so they can be ready for whatever of their interest there. That's totally good things to have. And I think this is what I can always do as a prep week, but this is just a week before that, while doing it as early as possible within our region and countries, again, will help to make the awareness for the communities about the ICANN itself. Thank you, Ingram. Jasmine.
All right, thank you, Ali. I will speak slower this time. Thank you. So about the next step of referencing to the takeaways I mentioned. So generally speaking, to follow up on those unfinished conversation and to continue to reach out expert or peer for the follow-up. To be specific, actually on the next round, working with ISO Hong Kong Internet Society Hong Kong, we're looking into the applicant support program as well. And then it's also part of like extending the discussion from the previous plenary sessions at large during the Istanbul meeting. So I believe that each individual is the best person to identify each your network and community needs, so that we know like who and how to reach out more efficiently to encourage those represent communities to apply for the ASP. So that's one thing that I'm also working on to advocate for and also to work on the application as well. And the second thing about larger content about the geopolitics. So it's a very broad topic, but I think it's really important. So I will continue to pay attention on things that are happening around the globe. And one thing I want to mention is that there's a net missions plus network APPO, standing for Asia Pacific Policy Observatory. So it's made of youth researchers from the Asia Pacific region that we're actually working on a report in the topic of how election results impact the internet governance ecosystem. So the timeline around it's like we plan to publish in the end of the year. So if not, maybe early next year. But that's the thing that I'm part of the research team to look into how things going on. That's my next step as well. Last thing that I mentioned is just to continue to join this network that Ingram and Yuri has been mentioning, because next year it will be very continuously to be very critical on how the conversations will be shaped, and also how that might potentially impact our engagement in internet governance at all. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jasmine, and wish you all the best for all the steps and progress and initiatives that you are working on. So we'll open the floor again to the attendees and the audience here. If any questions, comments, feedbacks to our panelists here or in general. Yes, I can see two hands there. Amrita, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ali and Amrita, for the record. And while Justin may be speaking more on what the discussions at large had been, I think what we can report from APRALO's end and also the at-large community is we had quite a few discussions during ICANN81. We had our annual general meeting, wherein we had our annual report shared. There were discussions on how we can kind of have more outreach engagement discussion. There were two plenaries at large. One was both of them were very hands-on. One was actually to discuss how we can have how we can promote the next round, specifically the applicant support program in in the entire ICANN region, and there were discussions which were held for regional at-large organizations separately with the GSE and other community members on what could be the top priorities, what are the challenges which needs to be taken care, etc. Where the GSE team, the at-large community, and other communities were involved. Even people from GAC were there in the room. There was also another discussion which at-large had on what should be the strategic priorities. Again, the community divided between the different regions, came up with what could be the priorities, discussed them, and looked at the top 2 or 3 priorities for the region. We did have a cross-regional, cross-RALO meeting, wherein there were discussions on how the continuous improvement process, which is going on through the entire ICANN community, can be more synergized between the RALOs and at-large. And obviously the GSE shared more on what they have been doing in especially the MENA region and how we can enhance further this cooperation. So these are some of the things which come to my mind. Besides this, Justin may be speaking on more of what the policy aspects were discussed, but the at-large community met with the Next Gen and fellows to see how we can work together and explain more on what at-large does. So these are some of the key things which come into my mind at this point. I may have missed a few, but Justin, if I missed something, please take it up.
Thank you, Amrita. Justine?
Thanks, Ali. This is Justine Chu, ALAC member for APRALO. Actually, I wasn't going to talk about what Amrita suggested I was going to talk about. I had a couple of questions and comments for our panelists, actually. The first one is directed to Manju. Manju, you mentioned that if I heard you correctly, NCSG is formulating a letter to be directed to ICANN in respect of the time zone issues. And I'm guessing that you may want support from APRALO members on that. So I would welcome that you share that on the APAC discuss list. That is obviously a channel that's open to all our community members to raise issues and to get support or have discussions about things. So please do that if you want to. Obviously, there's no compulsion for you to do that. But if you want APRALO to weigh in, or APRALO members to weigh in on that, then I suggest that would be a good start to do that, right? The other question that I had was in terms of Manju has a hand up, so maybe she wanted to respond to my question first, or my comment.
Sure, yeah, Manju, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So this is Manju again. So it was not going to be from the NCSG. Actually, I don't think my comment has gathered a lot of support from NCSG because most of them are based in not APAC. It's gonna be several of us who are from APAC, and I'm not the pen holder for this letter. As you all know, I barely speak English. Those who speak English growing up are going to be drafting the letter. But of course, we will strategize how we collect names and how we draft this letter. We haven't even started. We just talked about this idea yesterday. And as we are moving forward, I will definitely share it to the APRALO list as some subscriber to your list too. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry I misspoke, but thank you for clarifying. And certainly welcome your sharing on the list, whatever that comes out from your discussion with your colleagues on that. I maybe I'll put myself back in the queue and let Maureen speak first. Okay.
Thank you, Justine. Yes, Maureen. Maureen, if you're speaking, I think you are muted. You are muted.
Thank you. I wasn't actually planning on making an intervention, but I just sort of thought I really should mention the ISOC special event, which a lot of the APRALO members attended, which was absolutely brilliant. And also that, we really did appreciate, it was a sort of all the ISOC chapters participated, but I really did appreciate that there was a really good attendance from the APRALO members, and that they were very engaged in the activity, which actually sort of supported the development of the new ISOC strategies. So I just sort of thought it would be, remiss of me if I did not mention that. For me, that was a highlight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you so much. Justine, are you want to go back to the queue, you said, or?
Yeah, sure. If no one else has a question or comment, I'm happy to continue where I left off.
I don't see any more hands there yet.
Okay, sure. So there were two things that I actually wanted to ask as well, or raise for consideration. The first one is, sorry for the ping. The first one is in respect of applicant support program. I am just wondering, because I'm hearing obviously different speakers talking about efforts to promote ASP and indirectly the next round to interested parties in our region. And we know very much that ICANN as well as GSC in ICANN are taking very much a regional approach in promoting the same, right? So I was just wondering whether it's worthwhile for us somehow as a group to come up with a very loose network of people who can possibly act as resource persons for the next round as well, or in particular ASP, so that if there's any question that crops up and and you come across a question and you can't answer it, and you're not sure where to find the answer, obviously you can always go back to GSC and ICANN, but they may not necessarily give you the answer that you're looking for either, right? So I was just wondering whether it's worthwhile for us to try and set up an informal network to support these kind of queries, or even to support any additional outreach that APRALO might want to helm. in respect of the next round and ASP. Obviously, I'm not going to take a vote or anything like that on this call, but perhaps leadership team of APRALO might want to consider doing this and try and reach out again to see if there's any interest on this. And maybe even the folks here, if there's some interest on this, taking up this, you could probably put your hand up or something just to let us know that, it's a worthwhile idea that we can take up. Okay, so doesn't seem like there's any support, so maybe we can just throw that idea out the window.
Yeah, I think as Justine, just from me, this is Ali again. Maybe it's a good idea to discuss it on the APRALO call, the coming APRALO call as well, which is on the 12th of December, I guess. So to see if the APRALO community as well, because in that one there are much more attendees, I guess.
Sure. Just to respond to you, and I've just seen something from Harish in the chat, and trying to pay
It's a
attention
long
to
one.
two channels. Right, yeah, a long one. Right. If no one else has a comment, then I wanted to also ask if a similar kind of network that is obviously contemplated by Ingram and Yuri, but for the WSIS plus 20 and all the internet governance type issue revolving around multi-stakeholderism. Maybe that's something that we could also try and support from an APRALO leadership point of view, to have this loose network. Like, for example, myself, I'm an individual member of APRALO, right? And sometimes it's actually hard for me to keep a track of what's going on in the ICANN conversations. I know there's an ICANN discussion group of some sort on WSIS plus 20. But also, it would be useful for me to have a different perspective from an Asia Pacific point of view, and not just from a global point of view, which is what ICANN attempts to do. So I'm not sure whether this possibility of having an informal network within APAC to also support this sharing of information, discussions, what we can actively do in respect of the promoting multi-stakeholderism in arenas such as WSIS plus 20, or the other areas like IGF and that sort of thing. And we may not know, there may be a network in existence already. So if someone knows of that, then if they could also share that information, that would be very much useful, I think.
Yeah, Justine, I think you have a good support on the chat for the proposed ideas, and interest from others as well there. Justine, are you done, or?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Yes, Ingram, please go ahead.
Hi, just to kind of come in on Justine's point. I mean, look, as my boss Ian said in the chat, it's a really excellent idea, and I guess I just wanted to sort of emphasize the role of working together. Sort of a single, when the actual negotiations start, for example, a single submission from a large collection of people is potentially more useful than 100 submissions from 100 individuals or something like that. So just kind of stressing the importance of working together and working collaboratively, I think is an excellent idea.
Thank you, Ingram. I think Amrita, you have something to add on to this?
Yeah, thank you. I think wearing my other APR-IGF hat, perhaps from APR-IGF, we could have that kind of a mailing list wherein, because it has a much broader remit than what APRALO has, could kind of host discussions. And in fact, as I mentioned earlier also, the APAC region did have a submission made at GDC where I think we had 48 or 49 individuals and organizations coming together to make the first submission to GDC. So this region has done it. We can do it again. and if we have the information being shared, so perhaps we could even discuss it within APR-IGF and have some kind of a mailing list or discussion happening, since we already discussed many of these issues, to have that kind of discussion initiated from there, if it's agreeable to all.
Thank you, Amrita, and I can see a number of feedback and responses to yours on the chat. So if no further comments or questions, we'll move to our agenda, last item within our agenda. So at this time, I will start with Yuri, if you don't mind. So we have discussed about the next step on those takeaways, and how would you progress them for ICANN82? So how do you see that those those things on individual end user playing a role in those next steps? So if I will rephrase it again, please, those next steps, how would you see them at the end user impact?
So the answer to your question is already discussed, or like Amrita's suggestion was going to be one of the answer, I think. But so from my impression, especially for this WSIS plus 20 process, during the open consultation held by United Nations related organizations, like delivering a collective message tends to have more impact than submission from individual organization or person. So as Amrita already said, like looking for a way to make some message from, like, not by the individual but gathered group will be a good way. So I think maybe having the discussion like this here today is a really good next step as a first starting point for how to act in the future. Yes, that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Yuri. And if Manju, can you take us through that one from your own personal perspectives? How do you see the individual end user playing a role in those next steps that have been discussed previously?
Thank you, Ali. So I kind of feel like what I had suggested was already what individual users can contribute. For example, if we're calling for support help to promote the applicant support program, you can reach out to your local communities to, break connections, bridge gaps when it comes to promotion and engagement. And if we have expertise to help, right? Especially in APRALO and within ICANN. As a whole, we have a lot of expertise. If you meet someone who has need or in need of help or professional support, you are welcome to make the connections. Reach out to any of us who are here speaking. We will be glad and happy and honored to help. And as for the time zone issue, I think we have been discussed that a lot. As Cheryl has mentioned, it's not going to be the first letter we ever sent out from the APAC community. But like I'd also mentioned, I think the global community, they tend to forget things because there are a lot of things on their plate. They tend to forget things if we don't constantly remind them the inconvenience we have been enduring to the public good. So when the letter is ready and we were drafting, we will definitely inform all of you. All of you could contribute as the end users to this letter and put your signatures on the letter to make it a stronger letter than before. And hopefully people will start listening this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Manju. And as discussed, yes, once it's being shared with the APAC mailing list, definitely there will be an input to it. Thank you. Jasmine.
Hi. So For end users, playing a role, I think it's firstly, it's about the mindset to be engaged. So when I'm saying this, it's like not just ask or wait to be engaged. Oftentimes in when we have meeting, it's like, of course, we need to reach out to people who need to be reached, but at the same time, we also need to be engaged and proactive to observe and identify or prioritize concerned areas. Then it is about deepen your participation, my participation on how I can contribute to the groups. So for example, like, it could be one way during the course to update, comment, or questions. Of course, that needs some foundation work, such as, accumulate reading knowledge and watching, listen much enough to develop my own opinion and critical thinking. And the other way is to join working groups, or if there's a call for volunteer. I noticed that recently, ALET have need some volunteer on, is that on ASP or like public interest comment, but later on maybe you can add up. And the other one, it's APRALO Policy Forum is calling for a topic of interest for the FASET Chat 2025. So that's the recent example that I could raise. I'm happy to have others to add on to what I just mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you. And Edwin, how do you see individual end users playing a role in the next steps that have been discussed previously?
I think a lot of it comes down to asking ourselves the real question as to how did we get to this point to be able to have the conversations that we're having at the moment. And much of that comes down to just a deeper understanding of how everything works. I can't say that I reached this level of understanding on my first ICANN. It had to take my second one then to fully grasp everything that takes place, as you can imagine, unless, of course, you're working directly in that space. As I mentioned already, the ccTLD for me is a secondary task. My primary is an infrastructure person. So due to the fellowship, I've now been able to gather that understanding. And if there's a way that I can share those experiences with more people, then that'd be good. And that should be the first step before even getting people to say, hey, apply for the fellowship and you'll learn more. I'm hoping I can give them the opportunity so that what I finally figured out on my second fellowship, they can figure out before they even go for their first fellowship, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm hoping to sort of achieve. And it's not just for us in Oceania, it can be for anyone around the world, just helping them understand that, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Absolutely right, Edwin. And most of us, if I would speak about myself, we started on the fellowship as well. When we started it there, I remember that days was, I didn't know anything about ICANN at that stage. And I remember I've been asked by Janice that time, said at the end of the ICANN meeting, she said, Ali, what did you get from this 5 days or 6 days within the ICANN meetings? I said, nothing at all. They are not speaking the language I know myself. I understand English, I understand Arabic, but they are not speaking any of those languages. Sorry, yeah, she said, then you are on the right track. Wait for the second one. And it goes from there.
Yeah, so yes. It's interesting when you meet people that have been to ICANN a few times and how everything's just on the tip of their fingers, and they understand the linkages and how things sort of add up. That's a picture that took them a while to sort of get there. Now, how do we sort of simplify it enough before they even do an ICANN course so that they say, okay, this is where I fit. Now I'm going to go into my niche. Thank you.
And thank you, Edwin. And at that time, there was no ICANN Learn when we started. So we were depending a lot on our mentors. And we have Cheryl here and others who have supported us during that time. Because when I started, if I recall it right, there was no ICANN Learn program, or maybe it was there, but not at this way that is now being available for all of the people who would like to learn about ICANN. So we started it a bit hard. Now it's much more easier for others to start because of ICANN Learns and so much of others of mentors and people who have good experience within ICANN. And everybody is happy to support and help. Again, thank you so much, Edwin. Ingram, got to you on the last round of questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, on WSIS, I completely agree with what Yuri said. You know, form groups, join organizations, and work together. That's sort of, you know, the gist of it. I'd also add just a quick one of, you know, sort of connecting with your governments, and obviously your GAC rep is an excellent avenue for that. Chances are they are heavily involved in WSIS. A lot of governments tend to dump all these all the sort of internet governance processes in the similar team. And because, you know, governments are always on the lookout for, you know, new good ideas, and you know, especially if you've got sort of, you know, ideas for language and that kind of thing as well. I mean, it's a little bit early for that, but yeah, certainly connect with your governments, and I know, and you know, and just, yeah, meet people through that. On the next round, I mean, it's sort of been mentioned before, but just about advocating for ASP in your communities, and also just continuing to work together, you know, obviously with the GAC, but also the other communities, on sort of the, you know, issues of public interest in the next round. There's obviously still opportunities to shape the applicant guidebook, and, you know, I can only speak for Australia, but we're certainly starting to think about early warnings and advice for the next round. Sorry, GAC advice, I should say. GAC early warnings and GAC advice. Australia was quite prolific in the last round about sort of domain names, and, you know, sort of things that, you know, some of our sort of the objections were about, you know, things that might, you know, lead to lots of, you know, sort of defensive registrations, or, you know, used for abuse and that kind of thing, or regulated industries. You know, we're sort of just revisiting sort of what happened last time and thinking about what to do this time. And so there might be opportunities to kind of, yeah, start thinking about that as well. And again, sort of through your governments is one option. Yeah, those are my sort of suggestions for end users.
Great, Ingram, and I think it's good suggestions and things that help. Whatever can help to move ahead with what we are all working on will definitely support the whole objectives and vision. And I need to put Cheryl on the spot. Definitely, she did not raise her hand, so I think she would need just to give a comment here, or a short update, brief comment, feedback. It will be great to hear from you, Cheryl.
Okay, thank you very much, Cheryl Langdon for the transcript record. One of the fossilized prehistoric individuals that have been dragging themselves through the ICANN quagmire since its inception. Though literally, you know, probably time to go into the tar pits for me. Look, I actually thought ICANN81 was a quite positive and productive meeting. Like all meetings, there was far too many places for so many of us to be in at the same time. I would like to note that Justine and I, amongst all the others who were involved in the IRT, the implementation review team for the new names, the next round of new names. It's, you know, making sure that what recommendations were made out of the policy development process after the last round are being implemented in a way that means the new applicant guidebook, and of course we've now got the applicant support program, that what you keep hearing about here in ASP, has already been published, but that all of that is in keeping with the intention of those recommendations. So it is a thankless task, and it was, I don't think I've ever had as many meetings in an ICANN meeting dedicated to one particular stream that wasn't a policy meeting. It was a huge workload just in that IRT space. So wanted to just note that again, Asia Pacific is punching well above its weight in a lot of policy input. We continue, if you look to see who's on stage, to be pretty much part of every stage that's there. And I think with the number of people who've joined on this readout, if you look virtually to your left and virtually to your right, you probably won't have to go through too many cubes before you find someone who you will remember from either your actual activities on site in Turkey or your virtual experience in what is very much I think these days a well-designed hybrid event. I guess I empathize with those who feel like they're drinking from the fire hose, which is, let's face it, pretty unmanageable with so much going on. But I also want to remind everybody that there is a glossary, and sometimes just noting down what it is you don't understand and then going to the glossary will save you a lot of mental angst while you're trying to work things out. Maybe stop trying to work things out, write it down, look it up in the glossary, and listen to the rest of what is happening. I do see people tend to miss bunches of parts of meetings because they're trying to work out what a particular acronym is. Well, don't get locked into not knowing what that acronym is. Go with the flow of the meeting. Go with the who's saying what the general overarching themes are, and write down the acronyms because there is a reasonably robust glossary to use. And don't forget to ask whether you're fossilized like me or not. There are a lot of people who work really solidly in their particular area of interest in ICANN that would always be more than happy to do some explanatory. And that does also mean in a back chat on the channels in the Zoom rooms or in your Skype or whatever it is, your WhatsApp, whatever it is you use. Is that enough, Ali? If you think you can fling me one and get me to not talk, have I got news for you?
We never get enough from you, so we always want to hear from you, Sharon. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we have Samran, Sahar, and Nathan from the GSC and others. So if you like to comments, speak about any points, feedback, I would love to hear from you. Samran? Samiran? Do we have Samiran here on the call?
Yes, I'm on the call.
Yes.
Ali, thank you for inviting me to speak. I've been following your conversation of the community members over here, and just wanted to say that whatever we can do to support the community in the APAC region, we are available and to the best of our means. You know my colleagues in the region, you obviously know me. Feel free to reach out. I did note a few ideas which were shared over here on this call, including helping ASP applicants, for example. Again, those initiatives are very welcome. As you possibly know, the toolkit is available, but again, if there is anything we can do to help let us say, if you need us to come and present at a meeting virtually or otherwise, we'll be happy to do that. That's all for me for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Simran. And sorry for putting you on a spot, but you say let's just hear from you. And we have Sahar, who have done a great job for the meeting and arrangement with the Turkish community and those she brought them to the meeting as well. So Sahar, do you want to give any comments here or feedback?
Yes, thank you very much, Ali. I'm so sorry for this, but good morning, everyone. First, I really wanted to thank each one of you for your participation and for sharing your honest and sincere feedbacks about ICANN81. It is, nice to hear all these feedbacks from different constituencies. I heard from GAG members, I heard from NCUC, and I really appreciated all the comments. And I just wanted to add on ASP, as Samiran confirmed that we have our targeted countries. So we would be helpful if we see any support from our community members in those regions. For example, in terms of my region, we are targeting Pakistan, we are targeting Turkey, we are targeting United Arab Emirates and Egypt. So I am sure that in the coming days, we will be in touch with our community members in those countries and to see how many people we can, get their attention to our program. So the coordination between at-large members and GSC is crucial for us. And I'm very much to hear that you also willing to lend this support to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahar. Thank you so much. And Ethan, if you want to have a word here.
No, thank you to the community at large. Sorry, are you
sorry, Edwin, I was referring to Ethan from the
Okay, go
GSC
ahead.
team. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, were you referring to me?
Yes.
Yeah. I think just to echo what Samiran and Saha have already said, GSC is ready to support. And I did note that there was an idea that was raised somewhere during the call about having some kind of APAC network to help each other respond to any queries or concerns on ASP. I think that's great. As much as GSC would like to help, I think sometimes it's also good, or maybe some of you might find it easier and faster to go to your fellow community members within APRALO to just clarify or ask for any help. Yeah, so I'm very happy to hear that. And of course, we are always ready to provide support. For myself, I've been getting some questions on ASP application processes, and it's also a very good way for us to understand which parts of the ASP applications potential applicants might be facing issues with as well. So do keep the questions coming in. We will do our best to help where we can, and if we can't, we can help you reach out to other parts of the ICANN org to clarify on any specific questions you may have. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ethan, and for the whole team. Before we wrap up and sum up, is there any questions from the floor here? Inquiries, any raised hands? Anyone who want to put any comments? Yes, Sebastian.
Yes, thank you very much. Early morning for me, but thank you for having me today, and it was really very interesting and enlightful. I think we may wish to follow the readout from each region because there is a flavor different in each region. I just wanted to take this opportunity to invite you for the other side of the spectrum of the hours, as it will be at 17:30 UTC time. For 2 hours, the EuroLaw organized a multilingual readout on the 3rd of December. And it will be with people from Europe, but really organized differently. And that's good that we have those differences. Once again, thank you very much. Really interesting meeting. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Sebastian, for joining, although it's an early, as you said, from your end. That's appreciated. Thank you. Good. So before we wrap up and close the sessions, first of all, let me thank all the panelists and the audience and the participants here. It was a great discussions, good number of takeaways, discussing on the application support program, the next round, time zone, and how they cooperate and informative and cooperate with the community, make the community informed about what we are doing, and number of takeaways that we'll look into for the next ICANN meeting as well. So at this time, if you don't mind, please just switch on your camera. We'll take a group photo to have it part of our activities. And if I would ask Yashin, if you don't mind, to take that photo for the group.
Yes, of course, with pleasure. Yeah, I'm just, okay, checking how many screens I have. Okay, I will need to take 3 pictures as I'm seeing 3 screens. So, okay, just give me 1 second, please. 1, 2, 3. And the one more time, please. I'm moving on to the second screen. 1, 2, 3. And the last screen. 1, 2, 3. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Yasin, and thank you for all, and thank you for the team who have joined us from the other Relo as well, Hadia, Sebastian, Nicola, and others. And it was great discussions and have a great ideas that we have heard from all of you. Thank you so much, and back to you, Yasin.
Thank you very much, Ali, and thank you all for joining today's session. This session is now adjourned. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Recording stopped.
Bye.